This is where the fun begins.
I had fought the worst of all wars and witnessed the redemption of evil. I have seen balance restored to the Force. But order can turn to chaos, as it did when I was born. Now, with my loved ones and my loyal allies, I face a new challenge unlike any before. And I'm not sure if this time we can win.
Star Wars Vector Prime by R.A. Salvatore, the first novel of the new Jedi Order.
Hello and welcome everyone to CAFF Chat. This is OG Star Wars and I'm so happy to be with you this morning. Thursday morning, I am so just thankful. Last night was a crazy night for me, prepping for CAFF Chat and stuff. If you've been following me on Twitter, if you've seen my announcements on my YouTube channel community page, we are going to get into a huge Cringe Factor can't even talk now, I'm so excited, article regarding what Dave Filoni said about Luke Skywalker and how he became a Jedi or not or whatever. So we're going to get into that because it's obvious how he became a Jedi. It was authentic, unconventional, but authentic, all of that. So we are going to get into that. And I have prepped a lot of stuff for this. However, if you're joining me now, please hit that like button. Share out that we are live on all your social media platforms and leave a comment. Let me know what you're enjoying in your cup, in your mug. Of course, it's coffee for me. And I'm going through New Jedi Order right now. It started when I wasn't feeling good. And so that's I started listening to it, diving into some of the books and stuff like that in chronological order, of course. And so this is in memory of that. I haven't really got yet to the Twin Sons version of our portion of Jaina's arc in that. And so Twin Sons mug here. But share with me what you are enjoying. Like I said, prepare a strong one because it's going to get hot in this room. I'm going to burn some shit down. But anyways, if you are joining me on the replay, please hit the like button. Let me know you're here. And if you want to support the channel further, you could become a subscriber. That is great. That is a great support right there. There I go. And there we go. Look at my internet screwing up. What the hell? My internet is screwing up. Let's see here. So hopefully I can last through this because this sucks. There we go. Iron Inquisitor is here. Hello, how are you doing? Atomic Ranger. That's a pretty cool name. I like that. And I like your avatar. Hey, I made it for once. Woo woo. Thank you. Cheers to that. Batsy is in the house. Hello there. Orange Hat Review, a channel member. Cheers to you. Thank you for your continued support. Oh, and then the lore. I'm so just stuck on this other topic. We're going to talk about knighthood. What is your responsibilities as becoming a Jedi Knight? What do you have to go through? How much it changed maybe between all of the orders throughout the history? We'll get into that as well. I thought that would be, and I forgot to put the poll up. I'll take care of that poll here pretty soon. So I'll put the final four for the Sith. I'll put the poll up. Fuck Norris is here. Hey, can never catch CAFF Chat with my new position at work. I made it today though. Woo woo. And you know, I love you with Tim, Greg, and Rhino. Thank you so much for your continued support. Another channel member. Yes, thank you. I will get that poll up for you guys here pretty quick. I forgot to add that. Hey, I got the notification. I'm here. Woo, good, awesome. I'm surprised that you got notification considering the BS that YouTube can go through with people who are dedicated to channels. Jim, the despot. Hello, everyone. And let's see here. We got 17 beautiful souls in here. Thank you guys for joining me this morning and taking time out on your lunch break or in the evening time, settling down, wherever you're at in the world. Thank you. We have people joining in from all areas of the world, and I'm so grateful and thankful for that as well. So thank you for the continued support. And we have Crimson Mist. Morning, OG. And how are you doing? And let's see here. Oh, here we go. And I have another channel member, Jedi Padawan Trela. Morning. Good morning to you. And thank you for your continued support. Jackson, how are you doing? Greeting, Exalted One. Greetings to you. I hope you are doing well on this fine Thursday. Gold Peak Tea. Awesome. I do like that better than, was it, shoot, what's the other brand? I forget. Oh, who cares? I don't even like it so that much. So anyways, Robert De Costa says, yeah, caught the stream on time. Hey there, OG. Woo, woo. I mean, look at this, everybody. You guys are just killing it today. I'm so amazed. I'm so excited. Thank you. Just cold water. Hey, I always begin my day with water. Before I get into something that is non-water, like a drink, a flavored type drink, I always start my day off with water. I usually do cold water, but it's also good to, if you really want to help the digestion and stuff, and I'm getting into my health nostalgic bit, but hot water with lemon, so maybe you could put ginger or something in there. That helps the digestion and the body to further wake up. But that is just the nutrition, fit kind of person. Black coffee. Awesome. My coffee, I have no creamer, and it has just a basic sweetener, sugar-free sweetener. I found a sugar-free sweetener that I can actually have. And so I'm excited about that because usually sugar sweeteners, I get sick from them and stuff like that. Eating cookies. Oh, okay, that's cool, Ron. Miss Prime. Awesome. What kind of cookies? Chocolate chip, Oreos, what kind? Get the Ewok movies on DVD recently. Oh, you got them. Awesome. Nice addition to your collection. I need that little gif of Grievous. This is a nice addition to my collection or whatever. I need that for my channel. I need to there's some things I need to update with stuff to keep it more interactive. As soon as I'm done saying hello, I'll make the poll. But it's the top 4 Sith. So we finally made it. I didn't make any gifts like I did for the X-Wings one. So I apologize, but we are continuing with that. Maybe I'll do another round and leave those ones out and see who makes it. And I don't know, because the Sith one, it was so hard because there's so many to choose from versus the X-Wing. We can even do a part 2 for the X-Wing and, do Wraith Squadron and ones that didn't make it in the poll. Who knows? Atomic Ranger. Hello. I had 2 spoonfuls coffee with cinnamon and Swiss Miss. I hate coffee. So you like the flavored coffee, but you don't like it by itself. Is that what you're saying? Because you said you had 2 spoonfuls. So I'm a little bit confused, but I think I know what you're saying. Ninja Master. What's up? I'm reading through. This is going to kill me, Smalls. You're killing me, Smalls. Internet, what the hell? We've had a storm that went through. I might have to go check to see the connection and maybe restart it and stuff later today. I didn't think about that before I came on. But my internet seems to be affected by the storm that just went through. The winds were so hard. So it was just bad. It was bad. They were so bad. Beating against the windows and stuff like that was crazy. Bats Universe, been getting into Ewok fandom of Star Wars recently. Oh, that's cool. Let's see here. Looking out at the North Idaho winter makes realization it's hot cocoa spiked with peanut butter whiskey today. Oh, that sounds very cozy. Wow. Okay. And Bama, yes, caught it on time. So it looks like you guys are here for all of the news that I've been talking about and sharing on Twitter last night and getting into that. I think the show is going to be a lot of more cringe factor than anything else. But let me go ahead and make the poll. So give me a sec or two, or a minute or two.
Anything else?
I had to open up another window and I don't have my other computer up, so that was me. So I'm going to make the poll here, and again, start poll, favorite, Final Four Sith. We'll call it that, Final Four Sith. Okay, so we had Darth Bane, Darth Sidious, from what I remember, and I just spelled that wrong, and Exar Kun, who doesn't have a title Darth, and Darth Talon. So good luck, you guys, on that. I think I might be missing one. There's 5. Holy shit, there's 5, and I can't do a number 5. Oh boy. This sucks. I just realized there was 5 because I am missing Vistara Kai. She's the one that won the last one. So I'm in a debacle. What am I gonna do? Oh my god. Let's see here. And another channel member, Rodimus Prime. OG, what character you wish we got a book of themselves from the EU? I wish we got Padme book with a Doku. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I would have loved to see a Kyle Katarn novel and him with Jan Ors one more time, like just them later on life. I know he got a small novella trilogy. Let's see here. This is going to be very different, but I know we got the comics on him, but it would have been fascinating to get a novel about Grievous before he was, I guess you could say, shot down and transformed and by Doku. So getting a Grievous and why, more about the battle on his planet, all of that leading up to him becoming the monster he is as General Grievous. So and I would love to have that. It would be intriguing, another dark story, I guess you can say. Let's see here, who else? Cornhorn. Thank you, Soul Assassin, for putting the Kyle Katarn books up in the link. That's crazy one. There's so many I can go through here. Let's see here. All right, so I am stuck in a debacle, you guys. I am. I need Darth. I'm gonna put 3. We're gonna do 3 and 3. So to narrow it down to 2. So 3, 3, 3. So we're gonna narrow it down that way, I think. So right now we'll do the old timers. Actually, you know what? 2 and 2. No, 3 and 3. Oh, I don't know. Darth Sidious. So we're doing 3 right now, and then I will add Talon. We'll narrow it down. So this will go for half an hour. Then I'll do the top one from this. The remaining 2. That's how I'm gonna do it. Part 1. So we'll call it part 1 of Final 5. I can't believe that. All right, so whoever makes it through this one will go on to the next one, and this one's going to be a tough one because there are some good choices here. All of them are. So part 1 of the Final 5. So we'll do this for a half an hour. Go vote. It is being created right now. Can you please post? Ask your community. I know what I'm doing. There we go. There you go. Alora, get your shit together. Hey Zagrat, how you doing? And then Prince Lethal is in the house. Hey babe, I'm here for the Filoni hate, lurking while getting my morning stuff done. Oh, I'm so happy you're here. Awesome. All right, so I figured this is going to be a lot more of cringe factor than it is talking about lore. But get your vote in, and we'll get started. So the part one is Bane, Sidious, and Exar Kun. So this will go for a half an hour, and then whoever wins from this will be added on with Talon, Vistara, and whoever wins, and then whoever wins from that is going to is the ultimate winner here. So that's how I'm going to have to play this out because I didn't realize that I had top 5. So there we go. I was supposed to add Exar Kun to something, and I don't know. I forgot exactly what I was doing. So it's okay. And Justin is here. Justin, Star Wars Marvel purist. How are you doing? Let's see here. So let's see. Have you watched So Uncivilized on YouTube, an extremely underrated channel that talks about George Lucas Star Wars? I've heard of that one. I think I may have seen a video or two in the past. So yes, but I haven't visited it in a while. Yeah. So now I always like to talk about lore before we lead up to the cringe factor. Get your votes in. So we're starting right now at 9:17 a.m. my time. So about 9:45 we'll end it, and I'll do the other one, and then we'll go another half an hour, and then that will be drawn to the conclusion on who is the top one out of those. Top Sith, according to the CAFF chat peeps, to all you guys. So thank you guys for participating. So basically, what do you think? What do you guys know? And this is got to you guys out here in the chat. What do you guys know about what it takes to become a Jedi? So I'm not trying to put you guys on the spot. I just want to know it and expand from that. I have 30 beautiful people in here. Good morning to you all. As much as I don't like TCW, I will give it credit where credit's. That's me. There's some things I do like, but overall, I think that it's destructive towards the EU. So there's that. The voice acting was very good, and it also kept my interest in Star Wars alive and going. Well, I'm happy that it kept your interest alive. For me, it was the books and stuff. And once I started noticing a lot of contradictions and stuff with TCW and all of this and how Filoni was acting, turned me off to TCW. So yeah, let's see here. Still trying to decide my vote. Really tough. Real tough. Yes, it is. So yeah. So what do you guys think takes to become a Jedi? So let's get into this here. So we know that Jedi are recruited at a very young age when it came to the PT era. We know that it evolved out of what we see even in the Old Republic. The Old Republic, we started seeing more and more of like attack and all of that being frowned upon and having families. We started seeing that. But before then, it was not frowned upon. So, but what do you think makes a Jedi? So we have, like, what do you think you need to do in order to become a Jedi? Okay, let's see. Years of training, proving self, more learning under a master, passing the trials. There you go. Years of training and passing certain trials. Correct. Awesome. So some of you guys are right on task with that. And even though it's not very much like, we don't really get the basis of the foundation of training, not even the PT. The PT did open the world of what a traditional Jedi has to go through versus what Luke went through. Come on, internet, work for me, please. Versus what the unconventional training that Luke went through. And when you get into like the Revenge of the Sith novelization, here we go. I don't know what that's about. Come on, work for me. Yoda realizes that they're training Jedi from his time, from 1,000 years ago, when he was just a Jedi Knight becoming a master and stuff. And so he kept them stagnant. So that was one thing that Yoda realized when you read the Revenge of the Sith novelization towards the end, called New Jedi Order. And so when we get to Luke in the unconventional training, he did go through his trials, but like I said, they were unconventional. So I'll get in more into the trials, and we'll start talking about that, and then we'll get into the Dave Filoni stuff. So here we go, because I wanted to make sure Cringe Factor helps me expand the lore to you guys better, because sometimes it shows that they don't know about the lore, or Disney doesn't know about the lore, or what's going on. So this is an opportunity for me to sit and talk with you guys about the lore before I present such an article that has a lot of fallacies in it and stuff like that. And like I said, they're clickbait articles, I know, but there are some truth in there, because when you see them report something later or during the same time, Disney reports the same thing. It's almost like they are, under the table, basically, given directive on what they should write. Some of them go into the lore a little bit more and reveals some things about the direction Disney is going with, the written content, or the novels or comics, or whatever you want to call that part of the media. So I pay attention to that stuff. I call it Cringe Factor because it is. And sometimes it's not even about Disney. Sometimes it's just about the misconception of how people are perceiving the original lore because of what Disney's presenting. And this goes with Filoni. When we get into this article and we get into the subject, Mr. George Lucas' apprentice really revealed himself of not knowing shit about the lore and about George's intention. So Orange Hat is correct here. I just went on a small tangent already. So that this is the beginning of this. So prepare yourselves. Trials are spirit, skill, courage, flesh, and insight. All must be passed to ascend to knighthood. Some exceptions are made, however. Correct. And Luke does go through all of that. Through his hero's journey, he goes through every single bit of the trials of the spirit, skills, courage, flesh, and insight. He goes through all of that. He goes through manipulation of Palpatine and Vader, and he also basically teeters on the dark side and pulls himself away from that. He has the courage, the trial of courage, where he meets his opponent and he's not fully trained and he survives. And of course, the trial of flesh, basically his injury in battle, he survives, among that, and then insight as well. So there's a lot of that. If you go through it, you could see hints of it all throughout the OT. Very unconventional, I guess you can say, but Luke's training was just that, because Yoda and Obi-Wan had to stay hidden away and out of the emperors and Vader's sight. So let's see here. OG Star Wars, what makes a Jedi? It all comes down to if they can bake a vanilla banana cake with triple thick icing or not. Are you craving something sweet or what? And a Sith girl has to be in there cooking and just in a bikini. I think some of you guys will want that, right? Maybe Darth Talon, who knows? But I'm just throwing that out there for you gentlemen there in the audience. That's what they have to do. Corey Cochran, hello. The Pep working on Star Wars should not know less than me, a norm who. Oh, okay, yeah, no, only a little outside of the movies. Well, this is being revealed, you guys. Y'all want a read-long Revenge of the Sith CD? Yeah, it's so. Thank you, Soul Assassin. Jedi says, nowadays, all you have to do is be a Jedi, is be Filoni's pet, and you'll immediately ascend to Uber Jedi. We'll get into that too. Let's see here. Do you think that Filoni Clone Wars is more popular than the EU? I don't know. I think people got into the Clone Wars because of the EU. And the Clone Wars is a part of the EU. It's not separate. So there we go. And I think you knew what I was saying on that. Let's see here. All right. Yeah. So the trials here are, and we'll segue here pretty quick because you guys are here all. You are right, my statement and everything about Filoni here. So the trials of Jedi Knighthood, the trials of skill, was one of the oldest trials in the battery of tests preferred by the Order. So as well, the test did consist of numerous displays of lightsaber technique. The main thing that the battle master looked for when judging a potential knight was their ability to avoid distraction through self-discipline. And so we do see Luke go through that in a sense, on how clear and focused he got as he progressed through the movies, as he matured, as he went through all of his trials and stuff. So, trial of courage, because courage was a vital quality in a Jedi, the trial of courage was seen as appropriate to give even those who didn't specialize in combat, because it was important to remain in the dark about what one would face during the test. Most Jedi did not divulge details on individual tests. So basically, the courage. So, Luke, like I said, was up against Vader. Obi-Wan was up against his trial of courage was during his first duel with Darth Maul. So, so that's one example here. The trials of the flesh. It was the most trying test to give, involving the apprentice overcoming great physical pain, hardship, or loss. And we've seen Anakin go through that when he endured the trial of flesh when he lost his hand to Dooku. So that was one right there. Trials of the Spirit. To pass a trial of the Spirit, apprentice had to look deep within their souls on a quest of self-discovery. So we knew that about Luke going down into the cave. Did he ultimately pass that? Not really. He ignited it, but it was a I wouldn't say he didn't pass, I guess you can say. I guess that could be up for debate, but that was one of his trials of spirit. Another one was him going up against Vader and the back and forth of the psychological banter they were doing and manipulation they were doing. Luke was, using it to get his father to the light side, and Vader was using it to turn him. So, and then the trials of insight. And it was the last test offered as part of the trials of knighthood, installed in the trials program after noting that while a Jedi could take down a Sith, they could be undone by common thieves. The test helped the Jedi to see what was really in front of their eyes through the eyes of the Force. Seeing through illusions, evaluating an individual's true persona, and unveiling lies are essential to successful mission. So that was it right there. The trial of insight is basically looking back, looking through the Force, and making sure that, whatever you had to go through, especially if it's fighting a Sith, that you don't succumb to that and you don't fall. So there we go. Let's see here. Soul Assassin says Luke willing to sacrifice himself to save Vader and stop training to rescue Han and Leia on Bespin. There you go. So those are just some here. And like I said, the reason why I'm talking about all of this is the fact of Mr. George Lucas' apprentice doesn't understand. And when you research these trials and stuff, what is so crazy, and mind you, I think he and his team during for TCW didn't fully research what they were adding to TCW, obviously, because we do have some characters they brought in that how they perceived them was totally wrong and against the initial character, whether it was a title or what have you, or changing the age and everything of the character. and how they act. So, I think they really just loosely written things because at the moment, and this is not an excuse, this is a realization. At the moment, they needed them to fit inside the story. They didn't care how much they changed their character or how much they changed the lore. They just had to fit with what they wanted. And yes, Lucas did step away and give Filoni full reins. And as you started reading the EU after that, and as TCW was developing, you could see some retcon. My stupid internet happening to help course correct. And Leland did talk about that. The Sentinel did present some of that on Twitter. I should have brought that up as a part of this Filoni thing that I'm doing here today. This Filoni thing. This fallacious Filoni bit that I'm doing here today. Ryan says, Filoni strikes me as someone that hangs onto his boss so as to become untouchable. He is the savior of Star Wars. That's for sure. Or he isn't. Sorry, I misread that. Yes, he applies to authority. So he brings in that authoritativeness to make himself valid because he has nothing to stand on. When you appeal, it's appeal, not apply. But when you appeal to authority, you're using that as your own clout because you have nothing to stand on. Nothing to stand on. And that's my conviction on what I stand on. Our chat says Anakin was granted knighthood even though he had not passed all the trials. Oppo Rancis, a very strict traditionalist on the Jedi Council, was fully against his accessions without passing the trials. Okay, so we have that. So let me go ahead and check the polls here. We still got maybe about coming up 10 minutes. And we're going to go ahead and start segueing into Cringe Factor. But first, part one of the final 5. Darth Bane is leading. This is crazy at 50. Sidious is at 31. And Exar Kun is at 1. So only one person voted for Exar Kun. So get your votes in. 10 minutes to go, or a little over 10 minutes to go. Get your votes in, and then I will add the other 3, the winning one from here to the other 3, and we shall see how this goes for the ultimate, the top Sith from the channel, I guess you could say. So yeah, and so when Jedi's train, you also see how Luke has changed the training over time. You still have the trials that's still in there. But how he changed the order overall is another big point to how unconventional his training was. It's another big point to when Yoda says that the order has to change. The order has to change, and Luke, and he said Leia too. Luke and Leia are, basically are the ones to bring about that change in the new Jedi Order. So there you go. Let's see here. No love for Exar Kun. Not this time. I'm sorry. Let's see here. I also watched Tartakovsky's Clone Wars as well. I loved Tartakovsky's Clone Wars. It was, they were very short because they were just going to be little tidbits to show as like mini commercials, or I wouldn't say mini commercials, but as promotional things for Star Wars, and it became a hit, and so they started getting longer and longer. The Sentinel shared that Tartakovsky George was proposing for him to continue a bigger series, and very much George changed his mind because Tartakovsky wanted to oversee the production, but also do something different for himself. And George didn't want that. He wanted Tartakovsky just to commit to making the Clone Wars show and all of that. And because of the negotiations back and forth, and Tartakovsky thought he got the contract, George changed his mind basically. And, here we are with Dave Filoni. So there's another one there. Let's see here. Not that the last of the old, but the first of the new. That is in my clip today. So that is in my clip. Tartakovsky's Clone Wars shows this scene I talked about with Obo. Yeah. The council discussing Anakin's knighthood. Yes. Yes. And I have not forgotten about doing the watch party with you guys for the volume 1 of the Clone Wars, Tartakovsky's Clone Wars. I will get that set up here soon. So stay tuned for announcements. I haven't forgot. I promise you guys. So I have 25 beautiful souls here. Please hit the like button. Please hit that like button. Oh, XR Coon is 19% now. Awesome. That brought it up. There you go. All right. So let's see here. I want to start moving into Cringe Factor. So let's do this. Let's get this shit. Yeah. Here we go.
So uncivilized.
So you guys, this is the article that I found like right off last night, and I was like, holy fucking A. Okay, so yes, I'm cussing. This, and I started reading through this, and this is an exclusive interview with Filoni and Favreau for Screen Rant. Yes, I know, clickbaity type news here. But like I said, their truth is revealed. I can't even English today. Is revealed in these articles. You just have to do your research. You just have to go in and get past that cringe factor of these articles. Yes, get past the cringe factor of the articles. Oh shit, what's going on here? There we go. Yeah, let me see here. What if you deleted your Twitter account? What's that about? What's going on with my Twitter account? Okay. All right. So when I was reading this, I was like, I was livid in a sense. But then I was like, boom. I was also validated with what I knew about Filoni. So this goes back to discussing Grogu and his training. And you guys probably seen and heard that Favreau said that Luke trained Grogu for 2 years, 2 standard years in the Star Wars lore. He didn't say standard. I'm just doing that because standard years is basically a Star Wars year, right? So I'm just talking lore-wise. I'm being nerdy. I'm talking lore-wise here. All right. So this was all about, wrong one. This was all about Grogu, but then it also gets into Ahsoka because why not, right? Why not? Why not throw Ahsoka in there as well, I guess you can say. The SB guys talked about this article. Probably, when did they talk about it? I might go check it out later. When I came upon this article, it was just newly published as well. So I was like, holy shit. Okay. Let's see here. And I know you not get around like in a bad way, but you do stay in tune with other channels and stuff, and to see what's going on with them. So it's all about this little guy, but then it reveals Filoni. It reveals his intention. Like, I don't know if he's just that stupid and not realizing what he's saying, or he's just that fucking stupid. Pick one. I don't know if that made sense, but that's just how I feel about him. It's like, dude, you literally coined yourself as the apprentice to George Lucas. And I haven't even read this yet, and I'm already going off in a tangent. But you already put that title on you, that appeal to authority on your knowledge, and you come out with this stupid fucking crazy shit. Okay. And like I said, people who've seen right through Filoni from the start, this is kind of a bit of validation right here. So the Mandalorian executive producers Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau debate Luke Skywalker's status as a Jedi. The Jedi were nearly wiped out from existence when the Empire rose to power and destroyed the Jedi Order. Because of this, many Force-sensitive children never trained to become Jedi. Well, you would think some of them were recruited as acolytes and all that, but that's another story. There are a few notable exceptions, including Ezra Bridger and Luke Skywalker. Of course, you got to throw Ezra in there because, they're talking about Disney lore. Which, in order to stay in continuity with the OT, Ezra needs to die before before Luke is brought out to be trained and stuff. But that's another story, another discussion. But the question becomes whether they really are Jedi. Or see, there you go. But the question becomes whether they really are Jedi if they didn't go through the exact training and trials that are usually required. Oh, usually you mean, okay, so usually. So then if someone didn't, then they still became a knight? See how that's a mixed thing right there? But there we go. The question becomes whether they really are Jedi if they didn't go through the exact training and trials. And that's why I wanted to present going through the trials to become a knight. And yes, there are exceptions to the rules. And yes, they do get questioned. And a decision is made from that. So this is another main reason, and I keep on clicking the wrong one. This is the main reason I wanted to talk about that as the lore as well. So I'm gonna see what you guys have to say. And Matt G, what's up? Hello, how are you doing? Yeah, EB, and I didn't know words. That's okay. I understood what you were saying. So hello, Matt G. Knight Ronan says, Filoni is 100% mouse owned, not surprised. He toes the line to get where he needs to be. He's a yes man, no matter who it is, to his boss. He's a yes man. Plain and simple. But he did undermine George quite a lot. And he admitted that he undermined George quite a lot to get what he wanted. So he's all about himself more than anything else. He may say, oh, we care about the lore in one instance, and then he'll go and appeal to authority and says, and starts laughing and says, oh, well, continuity is for wimps. Well, continuity is for wimps, and he then appeals to authority by saying George said that, and meaning that if you maintain continuity, you're a wimp. Well, then you must be just a little leech on the ground. I don't know even what to call you. If you can't even keep continuity, you're dirt. I'd rather be a wimp. And as a writer, be a wimp and maintain my continuity for a coherent story throughout all the medias that I may produce. I'd rather be that wimp. And that was kind of like a bully thing to the creators from the past. You guys are all wimps. Leland, you're a wimp for maintaining continuity. That's kind of like a bully tactic. And then he applies George's name to it, which George has dry humor. I think that was a joke, and Filoni took it personally. And then he took it in a bully way of saying it's for wimps, which means referring to anybody that created or maintained the continuity and cared about the continuity. And he tagged George's name on it as such to validate his point. What a fucking bastard. Anyways, I'm going to get into these comments and I'll go on. There's memeing among Disney Wars fans that Annie is a war criminal. Is that the same in the EU? I haven't seen that. Interesting. I don't know. This is part. So in the EU, it depends on the propaganda, but he was made a poster boy for the war on defeating and bringing order back and whatever. And then when the fall of the order um, came about, they just said he died, but nothing was too much, if I remember, published about him afterwards. But anyways, Jim, the despot, says this is part of the reason I ignore most of the fandom menace. They constantly suck Filoni off. They also do nothing but complain and never be creative, with the exception of Eric July and Razor Fist. Yeah, it's crazy how people don't see this bullshit of a man. He's poodoo, Bantha poodoo. I'll go into Star Wars lingo so my channel doesn't get like demonetized and stuff for all my cussing and stuff. Matt G, yes, hello. And then sounds like Dave and John decided that if they want to keep their jobs, they better jump on the Luke bad bandwagon. No, Filoni always was anti-Luke. It's just being revealed more and more now. And you'll be surprised with what Favreau has to say. Although I'm not siding with him, or I'm not saying that he's the savior or he knows Star Wars. So we'll get more into that article. Better to be a wimp than a pissant. There you go. I was like trying to find a better word for that. I'm like dirt. But yeah, pissant. Yeah. I was like, I just couldn't get the word. I couldn't find the word. But yes, I agree. I'd rather be a wimp than a pissant. So let's. Nothing wrong. And hello, Master No More. Thank you guys. Please hit that like button and share that we are live here. We are live. CAFF chat is live. Full on Cringe Factor for most of the time. Now, before I finish this article and we get more into it, this is the standings for who won this first round. Part 1. Darth Bane, 48. Darth Sidious, 35. And XR Kun at 16. So Darth Bane is the winner, and I'm going to create the second poll now. So Darth Bane won out at 47%. So the founder, the visionary of the Rule of Two, won this one out. So thank you guys, and we're going to do part 2 right now. So let me go ahead and get that up and going. Darth Bane. So now we're looking at Darth Talon, Darth Bane, and Vistara Kai. So there we go. So Darth Talon, you know that she's from the legacy of the One Sith, Darth Bane, the Rule of Two, and Vistara Kai, the Lost Tribe of the Sith, circa around 44 ABY. So not the beginning Lost Tribe, but centuries later. So yeah, so she is there. And whoopsie, let me go ahead and get this off there. All right, so now part 2, the top. After this will be determine the winner out of these guys. So go ahead and place your votes. Here we go. Yeah, please hit the like button. Yes. Let me see here. And Lucas should have paid more attention during the Clone Wars. Yeah, he reviewed, he gave ideas, he gave, character ideas and stuff. And whether Filoni abided by them or not, is the outcome. And he did admit of pulling fast ones or the wool over George's heads on certain occasions. He was supposed to have Ahsoka dead, and he ended up he made it to where he could bring her back. And after George left, after George sold, he used the world between worlds. He brought in friggin' some kind of form of time travel, time warp, or, with time travel doors or whatever you want to call it, world between worlds, to help bring her back. He's a big opportunist for his characters. He wants them to shine among or above what George created. And thank you so much, Crimson Mist, for becoming a channel member. Thank you so much. And again, stay tuned. I will get this shit set up, but we'll be watching our Clone Wars 03 Volume 1 here soon. So I will get that shit together and get my shit together. Okay, Bats Universe, not the biggest Sith fan, but who can resist dark side ladies? Yep, Bane is up for the count now here. Let's see how he fares between those two, especially against Darth Talon. So let's go on. This is the interview here. This is what there's more to this, or I would be skipping over, but there's more to this. So Screen Rant recently spoke with Filoni and Favreau all about The Mandalorian's 3rd season. And when discussing Grogu's Jedi status, they began debating Luke Skywalker as well. So why not just throw Luke Skywalker in there even though we know already, and Filoni, especially because he is the apprentice, should know George's intentions and exactly how Luke became a Jedi Knight. Filoni made an argument that Jedi training and philosophy are a way of life, and Yoda never technically confirmed that Luke is a Jedi. Favreau quickly countered with Yoda's final words to Luke. So here's the conversation here. Let me go ahead and make sure that you guys can see this here. So here's the conversation. I shared this on Twitter, but I'm going to get into it now. I want to know what you guys think about this, and I will share what I think and bring up some stuff regarding this to prove my point about Filoni offing himself, exposing himself, revealing himself. And I'm not trying to say this in a promiscuous way. I'm talking about character, knowledge, all of that. Okay, Dave Filoni. The interesting question is how you I'm going to try to impersonate his faggy voice. Oh, God, shit. I'm going to get my channel up. I'm not going to impersonate his feminine voice. There we go. When someone is a Jedi, that's the real question, because a Jedi is a way of training. It's a way of philosophy and being. So I'll say that again, because I did stop in the middle, caught myself from saying a word that can destroy my channel. But this is Dave Filoni. The interesting question is how you define when someone is a Jedi. That's the real question, because the Jedi is a way of training. It's a way of philosophy and being. And so Jon Favreau says, well, Grogu trained with a Jedi. And Dave says, Grogu trained when he was young, and so did Luke. Yoda didn't confirm that he was a Jedi. Remember, he says, oh, you think you're a Jedi? Not so fast. And Yoda did not say that. He had to pass the trials. So there we go. So he's down talking Luke here and George's intention and everything when we know exactly what happened in Return of the Jedi. And Favreau goes on with, but he also said, you'll be the last Jedi when I am gone. And this is where Filoni starts fumbling. And you know by how he says this, and if you know his voice, you can just hear his condescending voice going on. Dave Filoni. That's interesting. We've seen a few more pop up. So now he changes directions, because then he would have to, put Ezra in the same boat as Luke, as not being declared a Jedi, so thus didn't go through the proper training. However, and this is how he just exposes himself on who he really is. He is not the apprentice to George Lucas. He doesn't know the lore well. He presented it here. He doesn't know Star Wars well, like the lore well, basically, to say this bullshit here. That's interesting. We've seen a few more pop up. So he changes, he deflects and changes. He walks away. He deflects from that because he has nothing to stand on. He has nothing to stand on. And this is about Grogu, but then it also goes about Ahsoka too. Let me take a drink. Luke Skywalker's journey to become a Jedi has not followed the traditional route. And we know that. Why? Because Obi-Wan and Yoda are in hiding. It's even stated as much in the movie. When you get more into the novel, it gets even more into their purpose of how they're going to bring Luke about to help defeat the Sith. Right? Help free the galaxy from the Sith, right? Trained first by his master, Obi-Wan, followed by Yoda, Luke began very late compared to other Jedi. He is also notable for following his emotions, which turned out to be exactly what was needed to stop the Emperor and save his father from the monster he had become. The Mandalorian Season 2, Luke feels Grogu's call and takes him away from Din to train in the ways of the Jedi. Some may argue that Luke is not truly a Jedi Master at this point, but there is a strong argument in his favor. He may have not gone through the standard training or passed the traditional trials of the Jedi, but he follows the core principles of their philosophy. And this is okay. This is where we're going to get into some bullshit here too. And even puts himself in danger to serve the greater good as ascribed by their belief system. Where did he put himself in danger according to Disney? And yes, he is sticking to the core principles and concepts, philosophies of the old order that fell. That was in dogmatic ways when it came to attachments and the age that they started training Jedi. When you refer back to Revenge of the Sith novel, and I'm going to always go back to that because that is a movie novelization, Yoda comes to the realization that he was training the Jedi the same way for almost 1,000 years to defeat the Sith of the old, whereas the Sith themselves evolved. He failed to evolve the Jedi, the Sith evolved. And also learning that love and having families and stuff like that isn't, a crime against attachment, I guess you can say. So let me go on. This is the last part that I wanted to share. This is what the debate about what makes someone a Jedi boils down to. Kanan Jarrus was a Padawan with the Order before Order 66. And that's the thing. You're going to have Jedi who were Padawans, who were becoming of age into knighthood, I guess you can say, in a sense. And then you're also going to have Jedi Knights. However, you're going to have a mix of levels of experience and training that were misplaced because of the purge. A lot of them got killed. There's still going to be some that survived. And this goes to my point with Ahsoka, and I'm going to bring this clip up here pretty quick. With Ahsoka, she was never a Jedi. She was never compromised by Order 66 as a Jedi pertaining to her status. She walked away from the Order way before. She stopped being a Jedi way before. And so I'm going to go ahead and bring this up here.
Not yet.
You guys can hear it. And she says, no, not yet. So she's like, as a citizen, and he confirms not as a Jedi. She says, no, not yet. So you can see Filoni manipulating the scene because he still wants her to be a Jedi, or he wants her to be greater. He wants her to ascend past the Skywalkers, particularly Luke. And this is what got people so pissed off. And I hope you guys heard that, all of that. Let me check with you guys. I didn't even check with you guys earlier. Let's see here. I hope you guys heard all that. However, I love that about Mace, because he's like, boom, citizen, you're not privy to what's going on here on the council. And this is what pissed a lot of people off, especially the Ahsoka lovers out there. They were so pissed at Mace. There was this anti-Mace thing going on for a long time. And again, this reveals what the intentions of Filoni is, as well as not knowing the lore. So let me get into, or not paying attention to the movies and appealing to authority to make him look authoritative. All right, so let me go ahead. And Yoda indicates he has earned the title of Padawan, never becoming a fully fledged. So let me see. Let me go back. Yeah, Yoda has earned the title of Jedi Master in Rebels. Or indicate he has. I'm sorry. So he indicates that Kanan Jarrus has earned the title of Jedi Master in Rebels, but he too took a non-traditional route. So it's okay for Kanan, but you're going to debate Luke. You're going to say it's not okay for Luke, Filoni, but then it's okay for Kanan. You notice how he never brings up Kanan or Ezra. It was boom, just strictly Luke. Because Luke isn't his character. Kanan and Ezra are. You see the difference? It's like rules for thee, not for me kind of deal, I guess you can say. And Ahsoka left the order as a Padawan, never becoming a full-fledged Jedi. But she is seen as a Jedi by the galaxy. The galaxy, because she's carrying lightsabers, they don't understand what it takes to be a Jedi. They just, it's stereotype. They see a lightsaber, she's either this or a Sith, right? Ahsoka have the opportunity to explore this question further in the coming seasons and episodes. Using Grogu and potentially as a bridger, Luke's status as a Jedi seems secure, especially by the end of his life. But it is intriguing question to ponder, especially with how the Jedi had to evolve after the Empire nearly destroyed them. Now, it was all expanded on in the lore that Disney decided to just toss out for creative freedom. So here they are. They're acting like this was never expanded on before and it was never addressed before, and all came to a conclusion on why and how Luke became a Jedi. You see? And now they have to reinvent the wheel. The wheels weren't broken. You took the fucking wheels off and put on flat tires. That's how I see it. When you change the foundation, change those wheels that kept the story going, the EU, for better tires, I guess you can say, you put on flat tires. That's not getting you anywhere. And now you're trying to explain how everything happened, making people believe that this never occurred before and that you guys, Disney, Lucasfilm, Disney, Star Wars, that now you're revealing something that never has been revealed before. And Filoni's doing the same exact bullshit. He thinks that he's making some groundbreaking stuff with this Grogu. He goes and questions the intentions of George regarding the legacy characters, the ones that brought us to Star Wars, and makes it sound like they didn't properly earn their title, that it didn't happen, that because Yoda didn't go and traditionally knight him, that he was not knighted. He never became a Jedi Knight. I'm going to go back to that quote. So let me go ahead and scroll to that quote, that conversation, and leave it here because we're going to be breaking this shit down. This is what I really, really wanted to break down here. I'm going to make sure I don't have anything else to elude on. Okay, there we go. All right. So I'm going to break this shit down. And I did make a clip. It's up on Twitter as well. But, David Filoni is like, it's an interesting question how you define when someone is a Jedi. How is that defined? It defines on their training and how successfully they went through it and their trials. Trials weren't all traditionally conventional, even in the PT time. Because where were you going to get a Sith for them to pass their trials, right? Especially when they thought the Sith was extinct or gone for 1,000 years, right? And so there's that. And does he not know that? Let me find my other thing here. Does he not know that the intention of Luke's training? Let me see here. Let me open one up here. Woo-hoo. All right. Okay, got that up there. So does he not know what George's intentions were when the PT came out on how unconventional Luke's training was? Did he not get that? Where is that disconnect from? Especially when he's coined as the Padawan to George Lucas and that he learned and studied Star Wars under George. Where did that disconnect happen? Is he that daft? Or is he just trying to change the narrative so that his characters can rise above? Filoni did share when they were sitting down creating the last bits of the Disney trilogy on how Luke should be portrayed. And basically he cucked Luke then too. There's a history there. If you go back, there is a history on his intentions. And he should know very well that the intentions of the new order or of the Jedi coming post Return of the Jedi, different, to be a new order. He should know that intention. If you really know Star Wars and you just want to go with the movie novelization, the New Jedi Order, Chapter 21, explains all of that, sets up Luke and even Leia as the new hope, as the hope of the galaxy, as the ones that are going to bring about the New Jedi Order. Where is that fucking disconnect from him? Like, what did he not get? If he is really the Padawan or apprentice to George and he learned everything about Star Wars, what George wanted, and mind you, what's in the EU is what George wanted, especially when it came to his characters being written in the EU. Nothing went past him in regards to Luke and all of them. Where is that? How did that disconnect happen? happen? Or is it just ego because he wants to be the next George Lucas? So now that George is out of the picture here, he's going to be the authoritative to this. And he's going to rewrite Star Wars. And I see that happening. Don't be blindsided by Filoni learning from George and his apprentice, and he knows better for Star Wars. That's all a bunch of fucking bullshit. His intentions are there to make his story and make his characters and his ways a lot better than what came before. And that is including George Lucas's Star Wars. This is apparent right here. It's apparent on how he wanted Luke to be thrown out in regards to the Disney trilogy. Oh, because, it was all about the patriarch. We need to bring, now we need to bring the matriarch kind of bullcrap. I think there was a perfect balance between the both. We had our female characters. He act like in that fucking interview, that women conference interview, and I'm sorry I don't have the name in front of me, but that interview, he made it sound like George did not create any female leads. Another thing that he kind of forgot about, because he's speaking through a narrative, and that narrative he believes in, because I'm sorry, that's not a scripted, speech that he did that maybe Kennedy or Disney gave him to say. That came from his mind, what he believed. So don't be fooled that he is just towing the line, because he is not fucking towing the line, you guys. This is exactly what he believes in. Stop being fooled. He wants his Star Wars. He wants to change it. He wants to be the authority. He wants his characters to now overshine what was originally created. The Skywalker men, Luke Skywalker and his trials and his story arc, he's pissing all over. He is fucking pissing all over. This is proof right here. Grogu is another way to bring that about. Don't be fucking fooled. Okay, so now I'm going to show some clips here. So let's see here. So this is a compilation of clips, and I'm going to pause in between them. And it's only 2 minutes, so hopefully you guys hear it. I'm pretty sure. This very first one is from Revenge of the Sith novelization, which Matthew Stover sat down and worked with George on creating this novel, what George needed and wanted in this novel. So when we get to the New Jedi Order, mind you, everything was approved in this. The direction of Luke and how Luke is seen, how Leia is seen, everything was under the script, the guide of George Lucas. So you can't say that the New Jedi Order was something that George did not want, because it is. He even contributed to the making of the New Jedi Order when it came the directions of the grandkids and stuff. Mind you, there was some controversy, not controversy, but he didn't want two Anakins existing, but he also contributed to, at the same time, but he also contributed to the direction of the grandkids and the lore during that time frame. So I'm going to go ahead and play this clip. All right, so there's the first clip there. Whoopsie, I keep going to the wrong one. Whew. All right. Off screen there, so we're showing the article still. Oh my goodness, Laura, get you with it. There you go. All right, so there's the first clip there. So basically that is from chapter 21, the New Jedi Order. That is basically the setup for Luke and even Leia becoming the founders of the New Jedi Order, which means they're being trained, which means that he is going to be knighted, right? He's going to be knighted. Where did Filoni miss that? How did he fucking miss that? The intentions of that. Because he has such a big ego, he don't care. If it doesn't involve him and what he wants, he don't care. He doesn't play well with others. It's his way or the highway. And through all of that, he deceived George countless times, pulling the wool over George's head regarding some things about TCW, including Ahsoka. But if he can kind of bend the rules on what is deemed as a Jedi, and that's what I'm seeing here, he's like, he wants to bend the rules, which he can now. It's Disney Star Wars. They don't care about continuity and stuff like that, but he's testing the waters here because he wants to make Ahsoka a Jedi again, or make her something greater than even Luke. Don't be fooled. Don't be fooled. Rage on OG. Darth Toby trained you well. Let me check. Speaking of Sith, let me check the standings here. Oh my God, you guys are a rule of two people. So, and I'm kind of amazed at this. So Darth Talon is 29%. Darth Bane is at 71, and Vistara Kai is at 0. I am so amazed about Vistara Kai that no one voted for her yet. Oh my God. Okay. All right. So that's the standings, and we still have, I'm going to let it go for another 5-10 minutes since I started a little bit later than I wanted to. So let's see here what you guys have to say. Filoni is a sellout. He's been disingenuous in the past. He's too attached to Ahsoka, and it's making the Star Wars franchise worse. She literally has survived past episode 6, Jedi, and it undermines the OT. Exactly, and I'm going to get to that. Thank you, Holocron. I'm going to get to that. So I did have people jump off now, and maybe they were curious to see what I was going to say about Filoni, and maybe they were Filoni worshippers. I don't know. There are such a thing because people do post like people, like an image of people worshiping Filoni and stuff. It's very, very odd and peculiar. But yeah, so maybe they jumped off because they got tired of listening to me bash their savior. I drink therefore I am says, remember that those at Disney are experts at pissing on your head and telling you it's raining. Exactly. And Iron Inquisitor says, I've caught Filoni in quite a few fibs. He claimed Zeb from the Rebels is a new species. When the Lasette were a thing in Western Games RPG guide. Exactly. There's a many accounts of that, and I'm gonna have to sit down and research all that and list everything that he got wrong, that he said that and he lied about. That's a task in itself, because he is very dishonest. He's a very dishonest man when it comes to lore and what he knows and the direction. Actually, he does reveal his direction. We know exactly his direction. I think that's one thing he might be honest about is his direction. Please hit that like button. Yes. So I've got 19 beautiful souls here. Thank you so much. And let's get back into more of that clip going on here. And so I could talk more about what's going on, like what's breaking things down, breaking this shit down. All right. So there's that. That's one of the main points that needs to be brought up, is finishing up Luke's trial. So there, yes, he did not declare him a Jedi, but I'm going to get into where he does. In the same time, he tells him, one more task you have to do. And that's his last trial, right? That's the last of his trial. And then there's another key point he says, as he's dying and he's speaking to Luke. So yeah, with that bit, you can say, yeah, Filoni was, I guess you could say, right. But how he phrases this, oh, you think you're a Jedi? Not so fast. See, that's a very condescending way to make it sound Yoda's acting towards Luke, which was not the fact. And that's kind of revealing how Filoni feels about Luke, feels about that situation, feels about the lore. Because he's being condescending there, right? Or maybe a bit snide. But anyways, that's, because how someone responds and reacts to something and how they quote it or paraphrase it kind of clearly shows intention, right? It shows their intention. And there's many interviews where Filoni has a lot of condescension going on in his voice. So let me see. So now let's go on to show exactly where he's like, oh yeah, you are a Jedi. You are a Jedi. So let me bring this up here. And there you go. When I am gone, the last of the Jedi you will be. And telling him to pass on what he has learned. There was no sound. Are you serious? Did anybody else hear that? Because I'm getting that you guys heard everything I played so far. It's low. I tried to make the pitch higher when I was clipping the video. But anyways, basically what he said is, when I'm gone, the last of the Jedi you will be. Luke, pass on what you have learned. Damn it, you guys. Okay. All right. So that's what he said. It could be because it was so low. I'll go back and check that. Okay, now you guys are friggin' telling me. Thank you so much. All right, so that's what he said. So basically what he said is when I am gone, the last of the Jedi you will be, pass on what you learned. And so he's declaring him a Jedi. He passes away after he talks to Luke. So that means Yoda's dead, Luke is last of the Jedi. That is where he declares him a Jedi. He still has to pass the trial and everything, but he's still a Jedi. He's still a Jedi. I know it by heart. No need to replay on this channel, I believe. Yeah, exactly. Now, I'm going to continue playing. I'm going to play like a second or two because there's some other points I want to make. And hopefully the sound plays for me. If not, then let's see here. Present video, extra video file. Let me see here. No, I don't have a cancel. Oh, maybe no, it's not on here. Never mind. Okay. Let's see here. Yeah, I know. I don't know why you didn't hear that. Let's see here. I just share screen. Just Chrome tabs, Windows, here, share. Okay. All right. Make sure the volume's up. Did you hear that? Let me know in the chat so I can work this out here. Let me know if you heard that. I played a small clip. Batsy says the Filoni clip required negative nope. Okay, what the hell? What's going on with this shit? Okay, So the Filoni clip would require sound because more people would recognize the older stuff as opposed to the new. Correct. And so you guys didn't hear that whole clip about the Revenge of the Sith one then? Let me know. Because that's an important one. I just love technology. Me and technology is so fucking crazy. Let's see here. Settings, make sure virtual backgrounds recording, audio, echo cancellations, blah, blah, blah. General. Okay. Excuse me. Excuse-moi. All right. I just came in the minute I typed, hello, holocron. This is false. What is false? Oh, about what he says here? Yeah. Yes, it truly is. No, Revenge of the Sith, I didn't hear. Well, man, you guys, no communication only means one thing, invasion. Damn you, you trade federation. That is a good one. So what I shared with that clip is basically Yoda is sitting down with Bell and Obi-Wan, and they're discussing the fate of the twins, how Padme should be presented as being still pregnant, and how they need to hide the twins because they are the hope and the founders of the new Jedi Order kind of deal, and it sets up the whole continuity of the Skywalker twins leading into the OT, and how Luke is comes into action according to his hero's journey, all of that. Yep, all of that. So it all gets into that. So that's that. And then I'm also getting into, and I put the clip up on my Twitter so you guys can go listen to that. And then, so I'm going to go into the points. I just wanted to have that as a bit of cited information for you guys to listen to while I discuss this and have this be part of the topic. But what that goes into is when, at the end, in the throne room, when Luke, going through his trials, going through his tests, going through all of that, Luke is tested. This is a test of will, I guess you can say, test. And Vader is manipulating him and decides to find out that he has a daughter because, Luke starts thinking about her, and he senses through his emotions, and he uses that to bait Luke to try to turn him dark, turn him to the dark side, turn him as a Sith. And out of fear, Luke reacts to protect his sister. And from that, he I guess you could say loses control in a way. And then from there, he stops because he ends up, we know the scene. I probably don't need to explain it to you. Darth Filoni and Ben Lucas. But anyways, and so he declares himself a Jedi. He decides not to fight because, he did lose a little bit of control. He's not throwing his weapon away as being anti-Jedi or anti-warrior or whatever. He is throwing it away so that he doesn't fall to the machinations of the manipulation. And then he gives himself up, in a sense. He surrenders not surrenders as in I give up, but surrenders fully into being a Jedi. And he uses that manipulative psychology against Sidious and against his father, which results, because of love, results in redeeming him. So where does Filoni not get that he is a Jedi? That Yoda did declare him a Jedi after, he's like, after I die, a Jedi you will be, the last of the Jedi you will be. So where did he miss that? He didn't, because at the end, Dave Filoni says, that's interesting. We've seen a few more pop up. So he deflects from that because he knows he's wrong. So that's a deflection right there. He fucking deflects. Because Jon Favreau, and I'm not defending Jon Favreau, he doesn't know Star Wars. I'm sorry. He is not a savior either. I'm not putting him in any regards as knowing the lore or whatever. He just calls him out, and I think that's beautiful. And one of my thumbnails, I made 2 thumbnails. One of them says, Filoni's like Yoda didn't declare Luke a Jedi, and I'm paraphrasing because I forget exact verbiage on that. But then I put on there, bitch, please. I understood the Return of the Jedi, so, and then one of them I said on there, what was it? And you called yourself George's apprentice or something like that. So very, very snide back and forth or type of thing, realization. But no, Favreau, he can care less about the continuity. Look at that. He's already saying that Grogu, that little bastard, that wannabe Yoda bastard, you guys already know how I feel about him, spent 2 years with Luke training. But when you look at the timeline, and I keep track of all this shit because I do talk about it, I compare and contrast. I need to know my stuff in order to counter. So I tread in the mud and muck of that. So I know what I'm talking about. Because if you're going to be someone that does compare and contrast and speaks up against the direction that your favorite franchise is going, you do need to know what you're talking about, right? I mean, do your research, which I find, like, Dave Filoni can't even fucking do his research. Holy shit, he has all that information in front of him. What a fucking fraud. He can't even get his story fucking straight. And then when he's called out, he's like, oh, that's interesting. He deflects because he knows he's fucking wrong. So if you guys really think that this guy is genuine, that this guy is George's apprentice and that he knows Star Wars, this is very revealing. And I hope that this kind of like frees you from that false narrative. This should free you from the false narrative. If it doesn't, I feel so fucking sorry for you. They say that there's rose-colored glasses, this nostalgia you put on so that you only see what you want to see. Take those fucking glasses off. Because no one's saving Star Wars. It's going exactly the way Disney wants it to go. And Favreau and Filoni are some of the vehicles for it. They don't care. They don't fucking care. As long as they get what they want, and as long as it toes the line with how they get paid. And I'm not saying that they're appealing, that they're stuck in a rut to where, they have to do exactly comply with what Disney wants them to do. They're doing this because they want to do it. Because no way will someone stay in a place where it's going against their morals when it comes to how they value the lore. Dave Filoni has no morals. He doesn't value the lore, and that was even even evident in TCW. He doesn't value the lore. He just wants to create what he wants to create. Piss on everything else. As long as you don't piss on Ahsoka, because he did retcon the Ahsoka novel, because it's not exactly where he wanted it to go. I know that. He doesn't play well with others, not even George. But he'll use George to appeal to that authority to make him look grander, to give him his own false sense of authority when it comes to the lore. So take those rose-colored glasses off if you still have them on with regard to Dave Filoni and even Favreau. and take a deep look. Look further. The evidence is there on the intentions. On the intentions. Because it's all here. This is just another story, another piece of evidence. To exactly what he is doing, his intention. And if you're praising and getting happy about Mandalorian, more power to you. But I still stand where I stand. If you don't like the direction your favorite franchise is going, money for what you think is good, because that's not going to change the direction. That's not how they see it. As long as their property, their show, or whatever is gaining money and being watched, that's all that matters. So don't have that mentality of like, I'm only going to pay for the good so that they can know what I want. They don't care. That's not how they look at it. That money is just that. You paid for the product. It'll fund something else, whether it's good or bad, and then it'll still go in the same direction, whether it's good or bad. Like I've heard people talk about the new movie that's supposedly supposed to be coming out. And it's supposed to be like past or around the sequel trilogy where it's going to have like at least Rey in there. And people are like, as long as it's good, and if it has Rey, it doesn't matter as long as it's good. But yet they're like, the DT ruined Star Wars. And, you know, of course, they always go to The Last Jedi, but I seen it from the start. I seen it for The Force Awakens, right? And mind you, Filoni had a say in the direction of Luke Skywalker in that trilogy. Now, you remember when they were making the trilogy, they're like, we didn't want to put Luke Skywalker out there because he was going to outshine. People were going to want to watch him more than our characters. That's why we put him in the back burner. Filoni had a lot to do with that. Don't be fooled. And it's not just the machinations, the results of The Last Jedi that hurt the lore and hurt Luke Skywalker in general, and even the other legacy characters involved. It was the DT, but before that, it was the tossing of the EU. Tossing of the EU was the big hint on the direction they were going. Many were too blind to see that because they're like, oh, okay, well, George, you know, wants us to still have Star Wars and Disney bought it, so it should be good. They have our best interest in heart because, you know, we trusted George. He had our best interest in heart. Well, as Iger said, they betrayed George. And as George said in the Harlem interview, it's not his Star Wars. It's not what he gave them, and it's not what his vision was. Think about that. That includes everything that Dave Filoni has done. Rebels, the Resistance cartoon, or whatever that no one ever talks about ever. Yeah, that was his production too. Yes, he had other people write on it and stuff, but so he had other people writing on Rebels and on TCW, even Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett. But he's still responsible for them. He still is the creator of those. So don't be fooled. It's not, you know, George is not saying, oh, and minus whatever Filoni did, because he did not ever say that. He says it's not his. Think about that, you guys. If this is not revealing, I hate to see what needs to be revealed for anyone to understand the direction Filoni is going. I mean, look at it. He even made his own Yoda character. because he wants to be the next George Lucas, so he wants to be better. That's revealing in itself. And I see people like, oh, baby Grogu, how cute. Oh, that's foolish. Oh my God. Come on now. Take those fucking rose-colored glasses off. Oh my God. I got to see what you guys are saying here. And then I am going to close out. Let's go ahead and close out the poll here. It's been a little longer than what I wanted, but that's okay. So here we go, you guys. Vistar Kai is at a 0. No one cares about her. And then Darth Talon is at 25 and Darth Bane is at 75. So the mastermind, the author, the creator of the Rule of Two and the Revenge of the Sith basically won. Darth Bane. There you guys go. Congratulations to Darth Bane. He is CAFF Chat's top Sith. Thank you guys. Thank you for your vote. All right, so let me see how you guys said a lot. Let's see here. I'm scrolling up. Wow. Okay. I think I got to where I last let off. Okay. The act of tossing aside his weapon is symbolic to saying, I will not act in hatred. I will act in compassion and wisdom. And Batsy says, Luke, how did the Star Wars franchise die? Ben Lucas, a young Jedi named Darth Filoni, who was a pupil of mine until he turned to evil, helped the Disney Empire hunt down and destroy the EU Knights. Wow, that's brilliant. All right, Crimson says, what if Filoni is an apprentice for a different master? He is his own. He only cares about himself. He will be a yes man to get what he wants, but he will also betray. So, Drifter is a Jedi says, Luke doesn't become a Jedi until he confronts Darth Vader. Yoda says this clearly in the film. Yes, and then he says, when I am gone, the last of the Jedi you will be. After that, and then Yoda passes away, meaning he's still a Jedi. So is it a conflict of words? No, and here's why. Padawans are Jedi. He is still a Jedi. Favreau doesn't know Star Wars, but he has no selfish agenda like Filoni. Yeah, I see that. He's just there to make. He is accustomed to a multiverse, thus not really maintaining a continuity like Star Wars created, and doesn't really care about maintaining the continuity, because look what he just said about, training. He didn't seriously, you need to know what you're writing in before you blurt out that, because then that moves a whole timeline, that destroys a whole timeline. You just don't declare something without confirming with the franchise if that's going to work or not. And Nasco says, how can I seriously argue Luke didn't have his trials in the film? Facing Vader and the Empire was his trial. That was part of his trial, yes. They are trying to rob Luke's accomplishments one by one and give them to Disney characters. Yeah, that's like I said. He could have just talked about Ezra. He could have just talked about Janin or whatever his name is. But instead, he went straight to Luke. Slimo, please, needs to be on a shirt. Filoni is a fat bastard, I misspelled on purpose. Bastard, who lazily claims he knows Star Wars, but only knows its surface level. He doesn't possess the mental ability to look deeper into it. There you go. Let me see. Filoni is there to guide Favreau precisely because Favreau isn't a Star Wars person. He was hired because of his MCU work, correct? And that's what I just, came upon or talked about. Despite what people claim, he's not going to be named head of Lucasfilm. Nope. Nope, he doesn't want that type of job. I actually didn't think he wants it. I actually don't think he doesn't want it, and he's not going to be. He's not that kind of material. He's just a creative. I cannot abide watching Disney Star Wars because it gives the bastards the blank check to continue the garbage. Same goes for Picard season 3. There you go. And that's another thing. Like I said, and I've said before, you're seeing this all across the platforms. But if you notice, people will bitch and complain, and rightfully so, because I do too, if you want to call it that. Or I bring up and share evidence, whatever, however you want to say it is, about the lore being broke, about the franchise being mishandled. But then once a show comes up that you deem as good, it's like you forget everything. You forget your morals regarding your stance. How can you trust people like that? It's like, pick. Don't pick and choose. Pick. Where do you want your franchise to go? It can't just be one way this way and one way this other way of like, oh, it's bad, but then, oh yeah, squirrel, it's good. I'm going to go ahead and support that good piece because then maybe they will change it. No, like I said, it's not going to result in that manner. Drifter is a Jedi says the only reason they aren't following the EU is because the EU has attachments as a good thing for the Jedi. It's not. Conversation on Twitter about is the attachments. And that's one reason, like, the OT doesn't have attachments because that's where it's like, I'm not counting, the things that George put in the PT as he started, adding more into the lore from his ideas of the direction he wanted Anakin and Vader to go. And that's and the Jedi to go, and that's including attachments. By the time we get to the PT, that's where Yoda realizes that the order needs to be changed and that Luke is the catalyst to the new Jedi Order. He's the one that brings about the change. And that change also means how attachment is seen and handled. And we see that. And I do have a clip about that on my YouTube channel here. It's a short. And Ben Skywalker, this is when he earns his knighthood and finishes trials, basically, when he pulls his father, the Grand Master, out of attachment. And this is in Legacy of the Force. So if you guys want to catch that one, I will share it on Twitter later on too. But if you want to catch that one, that kind of brings to light exactly how attachment evolved and simply just that manner and that conversation that Ben discusses with his father. Lucas never wanted the story of Luke to even continue. He had an outline, but it wasn't with Mara Jade or attachments. He never wanted her as a character in his world. Fine for the other worlds. Actually, she is in his world. She is in the multimedia project, or not the multimedia, but the what do you call it? The radio drama for Revenge of this or Return of the Jedi. He also approved of her. And he never said he hated her. He just didn't like how she looked as a model or cosmopolitan. She didn't look like a Jedi. That's it. So there's a lot of misconceptions with that. And when you look at the ideas that George had, whether it's the idea that was presented in the Star Wars archive, for episode 1 through 3, he does talk about a sequel idea. This is in the beginning. This is before Luke gets married to Mara. And as he describes the roles of Luke and Leia, they're exactly the same, just about as how they were fleshed out by the writers. With the exception of like Maul and Darth Talon, which I did do a video on. That idea then was course corrected and turned into a game that was being in production, being in its early stage of production, called the Battle of the Sith. And George was really into that idea, meaning changing his, taking the idea of them being in a sequel to now being in a game. And then the buyout happened, and that game, and then LucasArts was dismantled, and that game just halted, So it never came to fruition. Although there are some small clips about it and stuff too. So, but it's called Battle of the Sith. Jedi Padawan trailer says, "I enjoy the Mandalorian, but it heads the direction I think it's going. This will be the last season. The Babu Frick already showed up. Yeah, they're going. Filoni already said they're linking it too. This is like the early stages of leading into the Disney trilogy. So it's all like somewhat keeping like the direction is there where it needs to go. Are they going to keep continuity? Not necessarily, because we already see them contradict themselves and the OT and the PT. So, so there's that. Drifter is a Jedi, all from the Star Wars archives with the wills and as well, before Disney had the outline for Luke and Leia. Yeah, so, and then what George says about the wills, which when he talks to Cameron, Luke and Leia are not in it. It's just strictly about those, that world, the world of the wills. Soul Assassin, from what I've seen in articles, Baby Yoda is losing his charm. Funko just said that they're dropping 3 million in Funko at a dump. What? I haven't really looked into that. That is crazy. Wow. And then people try to say, oh, well, the PT lost a lot in merch. I think the PT was well received when it came to merch and stuff. But if we take the rose-colored glasses off, you will no longer look like a Zeltron. Oh, my goodness. Let's see. Something about Twi'leks and Star Wars fans. Lucas must be pleased. Be better than Lucas if you don't understand what made him great in the first place. Sorry, Filoni. There you go. Let's see here. That's funny. All right, and let's see here. Whoa, don't bring the Zeltrons into this. I am secretly a Zeltron, you guys. That was fun. I was just playing around with my image editor and stuff like that, and that happened, and I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna have fun with this. And I'm confessing, that night when I took that picture, I was doing my check-in for my my plan to show my my progress. And then I was just walking around the house like that too. I mean, I do that sometimes, but I was like, so I took a picture like where I was at, and then I was like, I'm going to play with my image on my Photoshop. And that came up, and I'm like, that's fun. I'm going to go ahead and post that, out of fun, being a Star Wars nerd and stuff. Yeah. And then Drifter says he only becomes a Jedi when he passes his trials, which was confronting Vader and Emperor. Then he's a Jedi, a Padawan, not even knight or a master. A Padawan is still a Jedi. They're called Jedi Padawans. And Yoda even states that when he is gone, he is going to be the last of the Jedi, then passes away, meaning he's a Jedi. Why is Filoniverse considered more stable than George Lucas canon? Money? Nope. Who says it's more stable than George Lucas canon? Or why is it considered? I don't know. Because they put him on a pedestal? There is a reason I don't review the false Star Wars, because I don't watch it. I research. You can look up the synopsis and the stories and all this. You can look up the clips and stuff on exactly where you want to get the information from. You don't need to necessarily watch everything. So but because I do talk about or between both lores, I need to be prepared. You see, check out the story of Luke's Jedi Academy here. Yes. So what do you guys think? Coming to a conclusion here, because we're going to close out here. Yes, I did have my little mini rant here This is very revealing. This really shows Filoni for who he is, or continues to show for who he is. And then when he is tested, he walks things back. Now, what do you think about this? Give me some, give me your indications here. I know some of you guys already did, but further comment about this. I usually don't recommend sharing out some of these clickbaity articles, but I would say go into them and clip the conversation. Keep them in your archives. I save a lot of things. I have a lot of things saved. I have to go back and reorganize them so I know where I could, so I can easily find things instead of scanning through all these images and stuff. So I need to get a better filing system on my computer for that. So Robert DeCosta says, love is what saves Anakin and the galaxy. The idea is selfless love, not greed. This is how Luke fixes the Jedi. Exactly. And that's another thing I don't think that Favreau and even Filoni recognize, because they made Luke give Grogu an ultimatum based on attachment. Either choose this chainmail and leave the order, or leave your training if you do, or not take it and stay with the Jedi, stay with your training, stay with me. That's a shitty thing to have someone make, especially when you're supposed to be changing the direction of the order. Receiving a gift is an act of love. Like someone's given them something out of love. It's not attachments. Now, if Grogu can't give it up and he puts it over his life and the values of all other things, then there's a problem. That's just that chainmail is just another a tool to use to protect yourself. That's it. That's all. So that was a shitty thing that he did. Again, resorting back to maintaining how the dogma direction that the old order took. Ren killed Grogu. Yeah, I hope he does. I hope that he puts a friggin' his lightsaber right through his belly, right through Grogu's belly. Battle of the Sith Lords had potential, just like 1313. It did. I love reading and seeing the videos on the production of that. It was friggin' amazing. And I believe they were making it a clone of Maul. So either a clone of Maul or a descendant of Maul, which means that Maul did have a kids out there somewhere, which would have been interesting to see. Mind you, I didn't care for them keeping Maul. As long as they did, he should have remained dead, but that's just me. Because to me, that kind of lessens the impact of Obi-Wan's, becoming a knight, really. But that could be another topic for another time. But just imagine if he had a kid, like, somewhere out there. Lucas sees, so it has to be before he gets his torso cut. If not, then it's a clone. So that either or. Lucas sees Filoni as one of his actual sons. He wouldn't care what he changes or why. Bryce Dallas Howard has said this herself. That's funny, because if he didn't care, then why did Filoni have to trick and fool and deceive George? He did care when it came to the lore on what was changed, and that's apparent in some of the interviews. And seeing someone as a son doesn't mean that they're apprentice or that they know what they're doing and they're discussing or they're talking about. Holocron Jedi says, Yoda and Obi-Wan made Luke's trials more difficult due to him having to be ready to fight Vader, and also for being more potentially powerful than other Force users. Boom, correct. Yoda doesn't contradict himself in the same sentence, laugh out loud. He wouldn't say not yet when Luke asks if he's a Jedi, then says, yeah, you're a Jedi when I'm gone. That's not what was implied. He basically said, you're facing Vader still, blah, blah, blah. But then he also says, when I'm gone, the last of the Jedi you will be. Meaning, he is still a Jedi because Yoda dies, making Luke last of the Jedi. Yes, because Grogu is attached to Jin and he doesn't selfishly love him. Arya's compassion about him. Ahsoka says this as clear as day. It's not about the gift. It's beyond the words. They can sense this. She doesn't necessarily say that. She's... Because I watched that clip and stuff. He loves him, and it is selfish or selfless. Because if it wasn't, if he selfishly loved him and he was attached to them, then he would have a hard time over the 2 years staying and training with Luke. Luke just gives him an ultimatum and he chooses because he's like, it's either one or the other. And that's not an act of selfishness when you're given an ultimatum. That's actually selfish for Luke to give an ultimatum. Because Luke in the EU never gives that. And a lot of kids and parents stay together during that time. Corran Horn and his wife and his kids. They're always coming back together. They're always together. So Luke is coming back to the old ways and applying them and not approaching it with compassion and working it out. He just gives them an ultimatum. Let's see here. And here you go, you guys. Let's see here. I like Maul and TCW, but I agree it ruins the death in Star Wars. It does. That's the beginning. Luke and Ahsoka, Force users, can sense the difference between being attached and being compassionate. You don't really sense that in the Force. Like the Force doesn't. It's actions. And you could still be with your family, your friends, your loved ones, and still love selflessly. Or, yeah. That is even evident in the EU. They have literally experience of both. They know he force choked. They're fighting. He used the dark side. Protecting someone is not a selfish act. That's even apparent in the PT. Protecting someone is selfless. Only a Sith deals in absolutes, correct. Yoda says, a serious commitment. We don't know if Luke would have given him the armor. Yoda says, yes, the Jedi are a serious commitment, but you're missing the point here. In Return of the Jedi, Yoda says, we failed to evolve the Jedi. He recognizes the attachments and how they see it is what made the Jedi fall. You could still have family, friends, all of that with you and still be selfless, still love selfless. And I'm not defending Grogu. I am defending the overall arc of that, of the attachment thing. And then so he says, and we don't know if Luke would have given him the armor if he chose to be a Jedi. They know Grogu's heart wasn't in it. No, he was in it. Because if his heart wasn't in it, then he could have just turned Grogu away and not had him there for 2 years, as Favreau says. He just gave him an ultimatum and he chose. Now, the Luke of the EU, the original, the true Luke, wouldn't have give that ultimatum because the loved one would still be involved in his life. That wouldn't be an ultimatum of like, oh, I brought you a gift. Okay, well, if I accept this, I must leave. No, that's not what the change is about. That gift is selfless. Protecting someone is selfless. That's what Jedi do, are trained to do. He does say that in Revenge of the Sith novelization. He recognizes in chapter 21 of the New Jedi Order, and I think even the one before that, that he was training the Jedi, keeping them stagnant, training them as he was trained less than 1,000 years ago, never evolving the Jedi, and the Sith were evolving. He basically states, and now I wish I could play the clip that I comprised. He basically states that he failed to evolve the Jedi. Yes, please hit the like button. Grogu was there to learn how to use his abilities. Yes, that's what every Jedi do when they go into training. But also, Luke was the catalyst, and the one thing that I did play that wasn't heard on here is that Yoda basically was saying that that they failed to evolve the Jedi, and that Luke and even Leia are going to be the ones to evolve it and make the new Jedi Order, which then we see that in the EU. We see it start evolving in the OT because, he is allowed to have family and friends. He is allowed to go and defend them and stuff like that. They don't turn him away. Yoda and Obi-Wan never give him ultimatum. If you leave, you can't come back. Because they're evolving the Jedi. That's why he was trained unconventionally. And yes, it is to protect others. Jedi train for peace, to protect others, and fight when they need to. And that's to protect other people too. So OG, yesterday Favreau clarified that Grogu trained with Luke 2 years in an interview with Variety. And I just mentioned that earlier. Yes. Favreau corrected and said Grogu was 1 year with Luke and then returned to Mando in the Book of Boba Fett. He was going back and forth with that. So he was like, oh, they this many years and that many years and stuff like that. Yeah, so I agree. And then Mando season 2 and season 3 are just 2 years apart, 1 year after. But that's the thing, the timeline, they're right back to back. Mando season 1, season 2. The Book of Boba Fett is right before. So that's where the timeline is all messed up. Anyways, you guys, so we'll have to, maybe next CAFF chat, we'll talk about attachment and how Luke evolved of attachment in the original EU. We'll go into attachment in the PT, and then even in the Old Republic, because that's even dealt with during Revan's time. So we'll get into that some more. So we're coming up on the hour. And mind you, Darth Bane is the ultimate Sith here on CAFF chat. So thank you guys for voting. Any ideas of what you think that we should vote on next, just to have fun and talk further about and incorporate in the talk? Please let me know. We did the X-Wing series. We did the Sith now. So let me hear what would you like to see become the top of the channel here? It could be starfighters, or it could be planets, or whatever. Let me know. You can let me know here. Type it in the comments as we begin to leave depart with our conversation here. Or you can let me know in the community chat on YouTube. I will post that question there. Mind you, maybe I'll go with the top requested, or I might just like pick eeny, meeny, miny, mo kind of deal. So then we can comprise something out of that and let it be a group conversation. Soul Assassin says, even the Sith didn't allow attachments, more like using them, then discard them when they become useless. Yeah, and that's we see the lost tribe of the Sith. That's what they did. It was all about passion and what they wanted. It was for egocentric stuff. Very evil. The ego can be our ego is just our personality, but when you go into the dark side or the shadow parts of it, yes, you have the greed, you have all of that, you have and it turns out not so well, I guess you could say. So did Sith, how about Jedi Masters? So you guys let me know here. I can come back and read the comments and let me know. I will post the question in the YouTube community page on Twitter. If you're not a member of the YouTube community page, please request and I will bring you in. Again, it's strictly more about George Lucas era Star Wars. We're not there to bash Disney. Maybe we can compare and contrast. That's where I draw that little thin line, but it's not there necessarily to, I wouldn't say bash, but reveal Disney Star Wars in a sense. So thank you guys again for tuning in and having this conversation with me, exposing Filoni further in his thoughts and how he thinks about Star Wars or what he lacks thereof. And then when he gets questioned, he kind of like walks it back. And you guys got a little rant out of me. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. I always stay a lot more cool, calm, and collected, even when I start going into that and get stern. I get more of a stern, like a teacher or maybe investigator when I'm dealing with someone that is unruly. You know, I get that really authoritative kind of demeanor. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Sorry, I don't full on rage, but you probably seen me almost get to that point, which Soul Assassin says that Darth Toby trained me well. So hopefully that was amusing to you. And thank you guys again for tuning in, and I appreciate everyone's support, even when someone questions or wants to bring up other points that against mine. That's fine. I don't mind. So thank you guys again for tuning in, and may the Force be with you.
The fate of the galaxy is now in your hands. With the new LEGO Star Wars Slave One, you can load Captain Solo, arm your weapon systems, man the cockpit, and take off with the most feared ship in the galaxy. But watch out for rebel ships. No matter the enemy, no matter the firepower, you control the action. With the new LEGO Star Wars collection.
Another happy landing.